Welcome back. This is CerealSnax. Today I'm playing Secret World. This is my part 3 of my playthrough of the game. And in this episode, I do a little bit of editing to take out some of the parts that I feel are a little bit longer because there's a lot of fighting of zombies and that sort of thing. This is Kingsmouth, which is in New England in the United States. And you can see I've come out of Agartha onto this big wooden boat kind of sticking out of the jutting out of the thing. It's like we landed on Plymouth Rock, basically, coming in here. Now that glowing item was actually where you resurrect. So if you die, you actually resurrect at those like glowing, orange glowing areas. I don't know what they're called exactly. And there's a cutscene here, so I'll let you watch it. It's this cowboy guy.
Sorry, kid. You haven't gone back in time. I just happen to be the last of the cowboys. Got your southern welcome right here. Mesquite beans, Texas style. Good ought to face evil on a full stomach. Name's Bone. I'm a troubleshooter. You and I need to have a little powwow before you go shooting for trouble. Yeah, chaos theory is all well and good in theory, but what we're dealing with here is chaos in practice. And what'll a dragon make of that? Sure, you can be divided in purpose, but we gotta stand united against darkness. This ain't my first rodeo. I know we're gonna need all the unity we can get. Don't mean to say you stepped into hell, but when the wind blows west, you can just about smell the brimstone. All we know is death and fog came from the sea, or someone brought it back with them. If I was a gambling man, I'd put money on that someone still being around. Bunch of survivors holed up in Kingsmouth town. Follow that main road and the sound of gunfire, and you'll come to the sheriff's office. Kid, whatever your reasons for being here, you find out what those people died for, and you bring a reckoning.
So I was talking before about the storyline. I think the characters in this game are really well done. This Jack Boone is pretty neat. I like him. And here's how the quests look when you take a quest. So basically you're on your way to Kingsmouth, and on the way you can kill zombies. So
This forest crawls. Gets my fingers itching for two matters. One, the other, figuring out a way to keep them down. It ain't right the way the dead walk the earth. They deserve their 6 feet, same as everyone else. I've sworn to keeping guard here, and you've got places to be. But nothing's stopping you from culling the herd as you go. Hell, figure out what makes them tick and how to make that ticking stop, and I'll buy you a beer at the apocalypse. So go on, kid. Saddle up. The end of the world waits for no man.
alright, so like I said, you get these quests, and this particular quest is leading you to Kingsmouth, the town. I'm currently on the outskirts, and that's one of the things that I find odd about this game, and it's not to say I don't like it, but they first start you out in Seoul, or London, or New York, depending on which clan you picked, and then you go to Agartha, which is this really cool tree area where you can like teleport anywhere in the world, but then you're all of a sudden in a really basic New England forest. And as you'll see soon, you end up in a very basic New England town. Now, it's infested by zombies, of course, but in a way it's a very cliche zombie kind of zone. And I think, and my guess is, and from what I've heard from other people, is that as time goes on, you actually get into zones that are a lot more exotic. I kind of wish they had started with those early on, instead of having them start you in a kind of a basic forest. So now you can see with the combat, and I kind of was fighting there and not talking about the combat, but I'll show you here when I fight these guys. It's very basic, like Warcraft, I would allude it to. You don't have to move a whole lot, although it seems like they want you to move. There is actually like an active dodge, but I think you just tap the key and it puts you into dodge mode. And so it's not as action-packed a combat kind of system as Guild Wars 2, or even as much as, I mean, of course, Terra was a lot more action-packed than even Guild Wars 2, but I wouldn't say that this rises to the level of even Guild Wars 2. That's not a bad thing. If you like the Warcraft style of combat against NPCs, then this would be more than fine because it's pretty fun. It's a little more engaging when you're using a melee weapon. When you're using pistols like I am, it feels kind of odd, especially when you're fighting against creatures like zombies who run up to you and try to melee you. So you end up just feeling like you're surrounded and you're just shooting guns off into nowhere. So get myself another one of these lore pieces in the back of this truck. But the cool part is you can see the quest I'm doing, the tiers I talked about before. You've got multiple tiers in a quest, and right now I've got this jump on cars to trigger alarms. So I'm trying to jump on this, but apparently this is not considered to be a car. It's actually a truck. I guess maybe that's why. But I couldn't figure out how to actually get the car alarm to go off. So it turns out that there's a car right there with the alarm going off and the zombies coming. Turns out that there's only certain cars you can jump on to trigger alarms. So just kind of a simple quest thing that I just couldn't figure out myself. But pretty interesting kind of quests. The quests are a little bit different than Warcraft in terms of that. There's a little bit more interaction, I would say. So you'd hope so. I mean, Warcraft came out in 2004. You'd hope that they'd innovate a little bit. In this game, these tiers have different options to do. It's not just kill 20 zombies. Although this one is kill 6 zombies alerted by the car alarm. So you actually have to make sure that you're killing zombies that are called alerted zombies. So I'm interacting with this gas can, which makes fire, and it's actually for a later quest, and I didn't realize that at the time either. So I'm just fighting these zombies, alerted zombies, but they still count towards your quest, alerted by car alarm. You can see there's another player character actually with a book on her back. She's actually a magic user, it looks like. She caught fire right there. Oops. But and then of course the alarm there it goes. It goes off for me. So I'm trying to get all my quests done. So there's just a lot of zombie killing in this area. Not a bad thing if you like killing zombies. This is supposed to be a horror-themed MMO, but it's also kind of a paranormal, supernatural-themed MMO. So I do find it odd they started with the basic zombie story in the beginning. Although maybe that was maybe they assumed that people wanted to do that. Now here's another neat quest I'm coming up on, where you can find items on the ground, which I think is a neat idea. You find this policeman's corpse, and you can actually get a quest from the corpse. So, he says, get more ammunition from this car, and then take it to the sheriff in Kingsmouth, or the deputy in Kingsmouth. So you can see the ammo in the back of the truck. So that's kind of a neat quest. It's almost like a quest that you can do while you're on the way. So I like that. There's the Welcome to Kingsmouth sign. And then here's the city of Kingsmouth, and you can see the fog. So the fog is a story item that has caused, all these evil things to come. They have to be surrounded by fog. You can see I'm looking through my statistics here, and actually I have some ability. I don't have any ability points to spend, but I've spent 5 so far, mostly in the pistol ranged category. I'm just looking at the ability wheel just to kind of get an idea of what I can do and what can be done. So I do like that ability wheel. That's a fun little tool. It's a lot different when you have no class and no levels. It allows you to group up in an easier way, in my opinion, and it also just gives you more flexibility in your class. So right now, I still had a quest to find this deputy. He's on top of the sheriff's office, but I also had this quest to find half-eaten corpses, which I apparently ran right by. So I'm going to run back and check this out. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the kind of quests that are in this area. I'm not even in the town yet. And when you get into the town, things get even more crazy and more wild. And of course, there's zombies everywhere and that sort of thing. So I'll show you. This is sort of a prelude to some of the other quests that come out. If you find these half-eaten corpses, you can see the zombies are eating on the corpse right here. And you can see it when you have an item that you can interact with on the ground, it actually highlights in yellow. You can see that corpse on the ground was highlighted. So I'm going to... The other thing I noticed too is when you're fighting the enemies, you can see my gun resource building up on the enemy on their actual health bar. So that helps when you filled it up sometimes, and you can heal yourself with that. That's just a particular skill for pistols. So this is kind of neat. You examine the corpse and oh, here comes a boss sort of creature, a corpse gorger. Looks like another player character's got a shotgun. He's helping me out. Now there I didn't dodge his attack. Again, I'm not as quick on the uptake on dodging these attacks. Got him down. So pretty straightforward, like I said. But this game is really growing on me the more I play it. I think one thing to note is that I don't think I would pay. I know for sure I wouldn't pay $60 for the game, and I wouldn't pay $15 a month for it. But it's good. That's not detracting from the quality of the game. I think that nowadays it seems like we expect to have a free-to-play game like Guild Wars 2 and pay $60 for the game and then not pay a monthly fee, because if you can get as much as you can from what Guild Wars 2 offers, games like this become less appealing just because they don't seem like they offer a whole bunch more unless you're really looking for a horror-themed MMO. And that's, of course, just my opinion, but I do think that there are people out there who, yeah, in 2004 when Warcraft came out, people were more willing to pay a monthly fee, and nowadays it seems like we've become jaded a little bit with MMOs in general, at least the general public, and don't want to have to pay that kind of money for something that we can get for free. You know, you got games like Lord of the Rings Online, which is now completely free to play almost. You really don't even need to spend any money in that game, and you can play for a very long time and get lots of content, and I wouldn't say that the quality of the game is any less than this. So it's really tough for MMO creators to be successful, I think, in this environment. And that isn't to say this game isn't great. I really love it. I think Secret World's a great game. I just don't know that I would pay the $15 a month for it, you know. So that's just kind of my soapbox real quick on MMOs. So I'm looking at my ability wheel again. I like the ability wheel. You can see that you can choose where you want the abilities that you buy to be on your little hotbar. I have this new ability that does like an area effect kind of thing. But I'm not going to talk too much more about this game. I think this is my third video on it, and there's not a whole lot more to say. I think it's really well done. I think you can see here I entered the first quest hub. I've got the ability to now join war zones and all that sort of stuff. But like I was saying, I think it's a very well done game. Funcom, you know, has had some games that really have struggled. Age of Conan, Anarchy Online. Now Anarchy Online still has servers out there and it's doing well now, but I remember when it came out, when I first played that game, I remember how buggy it was. It was almost impossible to play. And so a lot of people have shied away from Funcom. I think they're finally coming into their own with a game like this, although it's been years, and that's what scares people, I think, is to stay away from Funcom. There's another horror MMO out there from CCP. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but you know, there were some people online who were saying, "Oh, well, this game really makes me look forward to the CCP game, so thanks Funcom," which is kind of a, you know, sad. I feel sorry for Funcom in some ways. But they really need to get ahead of the times. You know, I think that they could follow some of the other models like Guild Wars 2 and that sort of thing where they've got a free-to-play model. But, you know, I give them credit for trying the subscription model. If they've got a good enough game and they really think they have a good enough game, maybe it'll work. And besides the fact that, you know, some of these games didn't cost a whole lot of money to make, and they only need a certain number of subscribers. Maybe, you know, I know that Star Wars The Old Republic, when they first came out, claimed they only needed 300,000 subscribers for their first year to actually make a profit. And, of course, they did better than that, and they're still doing better than that. So even if the game is considered a failure by the internet, which is kind of a silly thing, the game can still be successful in its own right and for the people that enjoy it. So I'm not going to, you know, say that this game is not going to do well. I just think that for those casual gamers out there who are looking for an easy game to play and they just want to log in and log out, I don't know that Secret World is for you. It's not for me, for sure, just because I don't have the time as a casual gamer to play this game plus a lot of other games that I want to play. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my 3 videos on the Secret World, and you know, if you're interested in a game like this, you know, horror-themed MMO, it's really good. It's well done. And if you've got the budget for it and the time, I'd say pick it up. And if you don't, then, you know, play the beta, enjoy it, and, you know, just wait for it to go free to play. So, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and check back on my channel soon.